Welcome back to episode 15 of the Family Only series. Last we heard from our colonial family, they had just had their 10th child and named her Amelia. The family is growing rather quickly and getting quite large now. Really large. Huge even. They're still looking for partners for their eldest children so that new branches of the family can be created. But as of now, it's not entirely clear how long that's going to take. Jake and Amelia have been living a blissful life lately, with Jake slowly climbing his way through the ranks of the Empire. It won't be long now until he enjoys all the benefits of the higher ranks of the nobility. The peace and quiet has been broken by a group of mechanoids that have arrived with the sole directive of destruction. And truth is, thriving colonies are unacceptable under that directive. The size of the group is rather small, but the family has no desire to take unnecessary risk. So, they've decided to man the mortars and send a barrage of shells to soften up the machines before they make it to the walls. The shelling did significant damage, blowing off limbs and components. By the time the mechs made it past the walls, they've already been weakened severely. The family armed themselves and moved to intercept the mechanoids. They even gave Max and Victor EMP grenades, so they can be of some use during the battle. The children stunned the machines while the adults fired their assault rifles at the deactivated mechanoids. This allowed them to make short work of any machines that made it past the doors. It didn't take long to finish off the machines that made it inside. Now, all that was left to do was pick off the stragglers and clean up this mess. Today is the 6th of August, which so happens to be Max's 13th birthday and marks his transition into adulthood. This will be the end of his education. It turned out to be rather successful, giving him another 3 passions and several very appealing options for a new trait. Trigger happy is really the best option for him here, and it makes sense to give him a double passion for shooting. May as well give him medical as well. Third passion doesn't matter as much here, so give him intellectual for a bit of a research boost. The colonists have finished the throne room and satisfied all of the conditions required for the arrival of the Empire and Jake's Baron ceremony. Fantastic, the ceremony was a success, albeit an unimpressive one. Even still, Jake is now officially recognized in the Empire as a Baron. That must make this colony a barony, and under the protection of the Empire. Hopefully. If only they actually came to protect it during times of crisis. At the very least, Jake is able to select a new permit. The preferable options are all locked behind higher ranks, so for now, let's just go with Aerodrone Salvo. Almost immediately after the ceremony, another group of mechs have approached, looking to destroy the colony. If only the Empire was still here to help protect their recently incorporated territory. Well, it's going to be up to the family to deal with this one. By now, the colonists have a depth of experience in fighting these mechanoids, and they know exactly what to do to handle a raid like this one. It's just a matter of drawing the mechs further into the colony so they could limit the effect of their numbers. In the corridors, the mechs are much simpler to deal with. If the Scythers caught the colonists out in the open, it would be all over for the family. A few EMPs later, and the Scythers were safely handled. Now that Jake is officially a member of the landed nobility within the Empire, he can no longer simply go around as just Jake. From now on, his new title will be Baron Mabum. It is a bit of a pompous, pretentious title, but it does seem as if rising through the aristocracy has begun to change the way Baron Mabum, thinks of himself. Let's hope he doesn't stray too far from the person his family loves. The real question is, what will he make the family refer to him as? Still Jake? One can only hope. A combat supplier has arrived, and they've brought some interesting goods to trade. The most appealing of which is the Gojuice Impervious gene pack. That would allow the family to start editing some of the children to make them immune to the ill effects of Gojuice consumption. It'll make them significantly stronger in combat without having to worry about addiction or overdose. Now that they've got their hands on that, combined with a few of these negative traits they collected earlier, very soon they'll be able to make their first gene pack. One of the near-term projects the family is going to have to work on is a suitable bedroom for when the Stellarch comes to visit. They will need to sufficiently impress the high-ranking noble if they're to have any hopes of being invited to the flotilla. The family has been happy living here for some time, but Jake, Baron Mabum, has for many years dreamed of joining the High Stellarch among his royal fleet, perhaps even one day commanding an entire ship of his own. Meanwhile, the prisoners have been conspiring with one another, and they're planning an escape. Just before midnight on the 14th of Jugas, they hatched their plan. One of the prisoners secretly stashed away a key that they stole off one of their captors, and they were waiting for the perfect moment to open the doors and run for it. This was that moment for them, while the family was fast asleep. Unfortunately for the escapees, the Baron's room was adjacent to the prison, and the Baron himself was a rather light sleeper. One of the escapees made the slightest noise, and it roused the Baron from his sleep. He woke the others immediately, and together they caught the escapees in the middle of their act. The violence that ensued was a grim moment for the family. Up until now, they had acted mostly in their own self-defense, but this crossed the line directly into barbarism. After the chaos settled, the family returned the prisoners to their holding room and tended to their wounds. Hopefully each and every one of them will take the rest of the night to reflect on what they had just done. Several days later, the family was still hard at work expanding the guest room to accommodate the Stellarch. One of the things that was well known about the Stellarch was that they were particularly demanding in their accommodations, requiring all of the best that life had to offer. If they failed to please the Stellarch, the Baron would be deemed unworthy of promotion into the higher ranks of the nobility. Mid-construction, a group of pirates have come to interrupt things. The colony has long been a target for nearby raiding groups, given its vast resources and valuable equipment, but recently, as the reach and influence of the Mabum family has grown, so too has their reputation grown amongst pirates for causing interference in their operations. This has forced several of the pirate leaders to band together and place a significant bounty on the heads of several of the prominent family members, mainly Baron Mabum himself. The most recent pirate attack has arrived with the sole intent of collecting on those bounties. Looks like they brought siege equipment. The best answer to a mortar is a mortar. It took only a small number of strikes before the raiders gave up on their siege and decided to assault the colony directly. Any semblance of organization disappeared immediately during the charge, and the family took advantage of the chaos. After the raid, the family used the peaceful moment to begin the process of creating gene packs. The first they designed took advantage of that Goju's impervious gene that they bought recently. That, combined with psychically dull, awful plants, and awful animals, gave them a solid frontline soldier gene pack. At least one that would work well until more genes could be acquired. Baron Mabum put together the gene pack himself after Brigand volunteered to be the first one to receive the gene therapy. The implantation was successful, marking Brigand as the first genetically modified human in the family. This marks the dawn of a new era in the Mabum family. Well, this is an interesting development. It turns out that Amelia's teenage sister is already a member of the Empire. She's been traveling with a tribute collector. It's all become clear now that Amelia's immediate family was already established within the hierarchy of the imperial aristocracy. Perhaps they even used that influence to secure Jake's promotion through the ranks. It would certainly explain how they were able to progress so quickly through the noble ranks. It's clear now why the Mabum family is so keen on joining the imperial flotilla. It would be an opportunity for Amelia to be reunited with her family, in addition to Jake earning more power and prestige. While the tribute collector is here, the families decided to take advantage and offer their last prisoner as tribute, receiving a significant amount of honor in return. That honor marks the beginning of the process of rising to the rank of Archon. All that's left to do is to develop the throne room further to satisfy the expectations of how an Archon must present themselves. After that, Jake will be high enough rank to open the possibility of an invitation to the Imperial Flotilla. In addition to this, they've decided it's high time to improve the bedroom that Jake and Amelia have been sharing. It ought to be quite a bit bigger, and it's going to need much better floors installed. It's not entirely clear why, but recently Amelia has been sleeping in the children's room. It was only upon the expansion of the bedroom that she returned to sleeping in the same bed as Jake. Was it a dispute between the two, or was she more concerned about taking care of her youngest children and grandchildren? Hopefully the latter. Looks like the piano's finished for the throne room. Now to move a few of these things around to make room for it. We're also going to need more space in here to accommodate all the extra objects. Taking out some of these walls should suffice. They're going to have to install high quality flooring, but that alone probably won't be enough to keep the impressiveness up, so they're going to need to make some art to keep it high enough to satisfy the next title requirements. And just like that, more raiders have arrived. This time tribals from the Chosculeño Pact. They're attacking from multiple directions, but since they've decided to prepare for a while, this will give the family an opportunity to send them a nice welcoming gift. Explosive mortar shells. Instead of attacking, the tribals decided to weather the shelling. They took heavy casualties during the bombardment, but somehow they're still willing to continue the assault. Given how much they suffered during the initial engagement, it really didn't take much at all to finish off the raid. The family rushed out and picked off several more of them, sending the entire remaining group fleeing. Amelia has recently been inspired with an idea on how to embellish her next crafting project with a unique piece of art. She's begun work on an assault rifle intended for use by one of her children. It's unclear exactly what she aims to make, but if all goes well, this should be one of the best weapons she's crafted to date. It took her all day and into the night. She spent very little time resting and focused most of her day's effort on this new piece. By the next morning, she's finished her work. It turned out better than she could have expected. She named the piece Max's Samurai. It bears an image of Max Mabum collapsed in a chair while both sweating and shivering. 6 dying raccoons lay on the ground. Several bell pepper eating foxes appear far from the main subject. The image contrasts pain and depression. That is one of the most bizarre and outlandish creations she's ever made. Is this intended for Max to use? Certainly a weird reminder if it was intended for him. In either case, let's have Max equip it so he can be constantly reminded of the time he got muscle parasites. Turning to less grotesque events, Peter has just had his 10th birthday. He's always been a gentle and kind child, so the kind trait makes perfect sense here. He can also have a passion for shooting, construction, plants, and intellectual. This will give him a wide range of skills to use to help out in the colony. Only a few days after his birthday, an infestation has dug its way to the surface not far outside of the colony. The rumbling and hissing was enough to alert the family of the danger that awaited them. They gathered at the eastern wall and prepared themselves for violence. The group pushed out past the walls and fired a volley to distract and lure the insects back toward the walls. They fell back and prepared to hold the hallway. As the insects poured in, the family shot them down one by one. It was a quick battle, leaving all of the insects dead and the family nearly unharmed. 2 of the brothers, Brigand and Bicep, went out to finish off the nests, all the while laughing and sharing the glory of another victorious battle. Victor has officially reached adulthood. It's the 4th of April and it's Victor's 13th birthday. He's learned a significant amount from his family in those 13 years, mostly from his older brothers about how to fight, how to mine safely, how to perform maintenance tasks around the colony, and a variety of other important skills necessary for life on the Rim. Now that he's an adult, he's developed enough to receive his first gene therapy. Like his older brothers, he's being altered to be able to consume goat juice without the adverse effects that come with the potent substance. 13 might be a bit young for goat juice in most cases, but this is going to make it safe for him. Recently, the family's got their hands on a new gene allowing for faster wound healing, which will ultimately be much more useful for the young brothers instead of goat juice impervious. Making sure everyone recovers quickly after raids is going to be incredibly useful. Let's try out this new gene pack en route and see how it performs. If all goes well, then the brothers who have been altered already with goat juice impervious can be changed over to also have this new healing gene. With the growing reliance on genetic engineering and technological manipulation, the family is going to need a much larger genetic research laboratory. The new wall for the expansion is already in place, so now it's just a matter of tearing down this old wall and opening up the space. The throne room upgrade is all but finished. The last thing left to do is make it ever so slightly more impressive, and it'll be enough to satisfy the Empire to send out their emissary for the promotion ritual. Soon Baron Mabum will be Archon Mabum. There we go. The impressiveness is satisfied, and the Empire has sent their representative to give Jake his official promotion. Except during the ceremony, the emissary noticed a speck of dirt on the carpet and was aghast. The emissary insisted that such a place was unbefitting of the Empire, and he was insulted to be brought to such a disgraceful throne room. The family was left shocked and speechless as the emissary stormed out of the room. The only option is to clean up, boost the impressiveness more, and try again. In the meantime, work continues on the new expansion to the Genetic Research Laboratory. Gleb is the next to receive the new experimental gene therapy to increase his healing factor. So far, in all of the other brothers that it was implanted in, it has successfully taken. It shows great promise. At this rate, all of the members who go into combat will end up with this new faster healing gene. Speaking of combat, a nearby mech hive has sent another death squad to attempt to destroy the colony. This time, the mechs have arrived via drop pod. It's a group made up mostly of centipedes, with a pair of centurions and an escort of scythers and lancers. Those shields are going to be a headache if they aren't dealt with immediately. The family has hopped on the mortars to shell the mechs before they begin their attack. If all goes well, the mechs will receive significant damage before making their way out to the walls. The damage that the mech sustained was enough to split up the raid into smaller, more manageable groups. Some were slowed by the damage, and others sped ahead. The family ambushed the Lancers and made quick work of them before moving north to catch one of the Centurions unaware. Baron Mabum opened up a comms leak with one of the nearby Imperial garrisons, and immediately a squad of drop pod soldiers was sent to reinforce. They would make for a potent distraction while the family fought from the opposing direction. A few well-placed stuns, and the first Centurion was down. Unfortunately, the Imperial drop squad was sustaining heavy casualties from the centipedes, but it bought the family a window of opportunity to assault the centipedes directly. After a short skirmish, the family fell back and managed to draw the centipedes back with them. The family did take heavy damage, but the centipedes were all dead. Unfortunately, some of the damage was severe and permanent. Root took a shot to the head that caused severe brain damage. At least he survived. If it wasn't for that helmet, he surely would have died. Luckily, the family has the technology to treat permanent injuries like these. A little bit of time in the biosculptor and he'll be back to full health. Well, first they need to build the biosculptor, but at least that's easy. First, Root is going to have to go through a pleasure cycle to attune him to the pod, making the entire healing process significantly faster. After this, he can begin the process of healing that brain scar. Max is 15 years old now. He spent most of his time behind the walls of the compound and rarely had the opportunity to venture forth and meet new people. Because of this, the majority of the people he's known throughout his life are his brothers and sisters. That, or they were the raiders trying to murder him. For the most part, he gets along well with his family, with the exception of Bicep. The two of them have a difficult relationship, with Bicep oftentimes picking on and bullying Max. Bicep claims it's out of love, but Max finds it difficult to understand that. Hopefully it's just the trials of living in an isolated community, and eventually the two will grow to have a strong bond. Speaking of growing up in the colony, Ollie's just turned 13, marking his transition into adulthood. With all the work, there's been little time for Ollie to sleep over the past few years. This has taught him to get quick bouts of rest whenever possible, but never longer than a couple of hours. As an adult, he hopes to learn more about shooting from his brothers, and he's especially interested in following his brother Victor to learn more about mining and construction. Well, another siege has arrived to attempt to level the colony. The past few haven't gone very well for the pirate invaders. Let's see how they fare this time. This will be a great opportunity to try out the results of the gene therapy that the family's been researching lately. Most of the children have received either a healing gene or the Go Juice Impervious gene. Looks like the raiders are trying a slightly different tactic. This time they brought tonk shells and are planning on gassing the colony. Unfortunately for them, that tactic has backfired completely. One of the first shells connected directly with their stockpile and caused a chain reaction, exploding and spreading the gas throughout the siege camp. Shockingly, they've decided to maintain the siege through the gas. A couple more volleys and the raiders have abandoned the siege in lieu of a frontal assault. They barely made it to the front gates. After all the injuries they sustained during the siege phase, they didn't have much left in them before giving up and running for it. It's likely they'll bring back news to their leader that they need an even bigger siege if they're going to crack the defenses of this colony. Unfortunately, an even bigger threat has arrived. A mechanoid cluster with an auto mortar. If the family doesn't deal with this immediately, they're going to have trouble on their hands. Baron Mabum has snuck out to the perimeter and called in an aerial strike. At the same time, he comms the nearby Imperial garrison for reinforcements. His last action before falling back behind the walls was to drive the nearest centipede into a berserk state, causing it to begin to attack its own allies. That combination has devastated the cluster and taken out the majority of its dangerous components. After a brief firefight, the mechs were dealt with and the family was safe once again. Several days later, after the recent raid was cleaned up, a shaman merchant has arrived looking to trade. They unfortunately don't have any more gene packs, but they have brought a psychic shock lance. After all the mech trouble the family's been having lately, another one of these could be incredibly useful, especially against another breach raid. The next child to have a birthday is Amelia. She's turning 7 today. She started to have peculiar dreams about a strange tree that speaks to her, and lately she's begun to show signs of becoming more and more sensitive to psychic fields. Only time will tell what this ends up developing into. As she gets older, she's shown more of an interest in academics than her brothers. She's always been more outgoing than other children, but lately it's developed further. She's begun using this to her advantage by getting her brothers to finish her chores for her. With all the free time that affords her, she's been using that to study in the laboratory. Not everything in the colony is just and good. There are a few things that come with colonial life that are dark and despicable. This is one of those things. The family's gathered outside with the objective of stocking the freezer and building up on leather. Their target? A nearby elephant herd. Taking out an entire herd at once is just awful. Making the children participate is even worse. One might argue that taking out one here and there, especially an elderly or sick one, might be permissible, but taking out an entire herd just seems wrong. Well, no family's perfect. Jane has a natural talent when it comes to engineering. She's been working hard under her mother's tutelage to learn the intricacies of weapon and armor production. She's also become quite skilled at component manufacturing. The time has come where she's learned enough to officially become one of the colony's production specialists. The family's gathered in the meeting hall to celebrate the occasion. Each child took a moment to congratulate her and say a few words about their sister. After the ceremony, the family remained in the meeting hall for a speech given by Baron Mabum. The family doesn't particularly care for his speeches, but they humor him, and each one listened intently until he finished. Jake, after finally undergoing the final promotion ceremony, has attained the rank of Archon. After which he is insisted among his family that each one now refers to him by his proper title. It's a bit odd and a bit pompous. At least it's one of the only oddities that have come from it. Archon Mabum. Doesn't sound too bad, at least. Now it's just a matter of finishing preparations for the visiting Stellarch. After that, assuming the Stellarch enjoys his visit, then the family will be invited aboard the flotilla, where they will be insulated from the dangers that this RimWorld has been constantly confronting them with over the past few years. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for updates on all future videos. For those of you who made it all the way to the end, please consider checking out my Patreon to help support the creation of more videos like this one. You'll find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and see you for the next one.